Disney's once again proving that they have no idea what they're doing with Star Wars. Yesterday there was an article published on comicbook.com titled Star Wars Retcons the Rule of Two. Now this immediately caught my attention because the Rule of Two is one of those very solid things that's been in Star Wars for a long time. Yoda even mentions the fact that there are always two Sith, one master and one apprentice, in Episode 1. So what has Disney done this time? The article states that the Rise of Skywalker Jr. novelization contains a piece where Rey reads an ancient text about the Sith. The text states, "The Prime is one, but the Jedi are many. The Sith were many, but often emerge ruled by two." I'm not going to focus on the Jedi piece, because that doesn't change anything we don't already know. The Sith piece is the interesting one. This one statement seems to indicate that there can be many Sith, but only two leaders. Instead of the Rule of Two being a rule that there are only two Sith, this seems to set up a situation where there are two ruling Sith over a bunch of others. Do you get it? Instead of being the Rule of Two, it's now been perverted into being the Rule of Two. Like kings ruling over their subjects instead of a rule, like a law. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of what the Rule of Two has always been on the part of Disney. And this statement seems to directly contradict what's listed in Darth Bane's databank entry on StarWars.com. See, back in the Old Republic, thousands of years before the film, there were lots of Sith and lots of Jedi. The problem with the Sith, though, was that their selfishness and ambition would constantly drive them to fight and backstab each other in order to gain more power or status within their order. Darth Bane saw this, and through a series of actions that's no longer canon, became the last remaining Sith Lord. He took on an apprentice and established the Rule of Two, stating that there would only be two Sith, one master to embody the power and an apprentice to crave it. The entire purpose was to have a master to teach an apprentice, and when the apprentice finally surpassed the master, they would fight and kill them. And then they would take on their own apprentice, and the cycle would repeat. This way, the Sith wouldn't be hindered by infighting, and they would continuously grow stronger over time. With only two of them, they'd be able to work from the shadows to move things in the direction they wanted, and eventually, they'd be strong enough to take over the galaxy, as Palpatine finally managed to do. All of this was explained in great detail in the Darth Bane trilogy. And even though it isn't canon anymore, I definitely recommend it. It's one of my favorite EU stories by far. As much as I hate that it isn't canon anymore, I foolishly believed that at least Darth Bane is a character and the Rule of Two he created would be left alone. Apparently I was wrong. Now, let's give Disney the benefit of the doubt and assume that they knew what the Rule of Two actually meant before, and now they've decided to change it. I've got to assume that the reason Disney decided to change it in this way is due to the various assassins, inquisitors, and other dark side force users throughout the Star Wars universe. Maybe somebody thought they needed to address the fact that there are more than just two people running around with red lightsabers. Somebody watched Clone Wars or Rebels or played Fallen Order and didn't understand what was going on, so they decided they should make a change. So let's address a few of these dark side users. I pulled this from Wikipedia's Rule of Two page. In its canon section, not the legends section, so this has already been confirmed by Disney. You can see there's a section for dark side adepts and cyborgs, which specifically mentions the Inquisitors. It states that during the Imperial era, a group of former Jedi who turned to the dark side were tasked with hunting down the remaining Jedi, though the Inquisitors only served the Sith and were not considered Sith apprentices, being mere dark side adepts. Asajj Ventress's Star Wars databank page says that she was an assassin trained in the ways of the dark side by Count Dooku and yearned to be considered a true Sith. But such status wasn't allowed under the Sith's Rule of Two. Similarly, Savage Opress worked for Dooku. He was actually considered a secret apprentice, and Dooku thought that after he killed Palpatine, Opress could actually be his apprentice, the next Sith in the line. However, the statement in the Rise of Skywalker novelization doesn't seem to line up with what Opress's role was, if he was actually a Sith. He was not ruled by the other two, but was instead kept a secret from Palpatine. So yeah, maybe Dooku was breaking the rule here. Otherwise, why would he keep it a secret from Palpatine? But one character breaking the rule doesn't mean that we need to change the rule entirely, where two Sith lead while a bunch of other Sith follow. So yes, it's true. Asajj Ventress is a darkside force user, but she's not a Sith. The Inquisitors were former Jedi who were trained to hunt and kill Jedi, but they're not Sith. Maul and Opress, when they appear in the Clone Wars, are darkside force users, but they are not Sith. And then the comicbooks.com article even asks about Sith troopers and Exegol Sith cultists, arguing that they're Sith too, so this new revision is necessary. And that's just stupid. The Sith troopers are just stormtroopers with red armor. They're Final Order stormtroopers. In KOTOR, there are Sith troopers. This doesn't mean that they're all Sith or even Force users. They're soldiers in the Sith Empire. The same is true with the cultists. They're essentially servants of Palpatine, keeping him alive. If they were any type of Sith apprentices or Force users, you'd think they would have helped Palpatine fight Rey and Kylo instead of just sitting around and watching him die. Now, I get it. The idea of dark side Force users not being Sith may seem like a distinction without a difference. But the distinction's an important one that needs to be noted. The Sith are a specific organization with specific goals. A fallen Jedi can use the dark side, but to be a Sith, you actually have to subscribe to all the Sith teachings and essentially be inducted. Now, the Rule of Two does more or less seem to be something that George Lucas placed in the prequels to add a bit of world building that would help explain why we only ever see two Sith at a time within the films. It's a little piece of information that helps to explain how they've survived undetected by the Jedi for so long, and explains why they don't just build a giant army of Sith to fight the Jedi. By limiting their number to 2, Lucas was able to answer some of these would-be issues in the overall story. It allowed the Sith to hide, to wait, and to grow more powerful. The Sith hadn't been seen in 1,000 years prior to the prequels. If the Rule of Two didn't exist, or existed in the way that Disney now says it did, it's unreasonable to assume that the Sith would not have built an army of Sith to fight the Jedi. They would have been discovered. Not only that, but there would have been fights like we see in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Changing the Rule of Two in this way may seem to fix some issues with Inquisitors and Darkside users within the Disney canon that's outside of the films, especially to those who don't fully understand those characters and their roles. However, it makes the actions of Sith for 1,000 years in the past, as well as during the prequel and OT eras, look more foolish and out of character overall. It takes everything we knew about why the Sith acted the way they did, why there were only two, and how that benefited them for 1,000 years, ultimately allowing them to take the control of the galaxy. And it throws it out the window to try to explain something that never needed explained. And that is where the problem lies. And it's things like this that make me hate what Disney's done to Star Wars. Do you agree that this is a stupid change? Do you agree that this causes problems in understanding the motivations and actions of previous Sith? Do you think Disney has any idea what they're doing? Let me know in the comments what you think. If you like this video, go ahead and like, subscribe if you want to. Thank you for watching this video. There are a million other videos on YouTube you could watch, so the fact that you picked mine is not lost on me. Thank you so much. I am Fishers of Men, and I will talk to you later.